So I want you guys to get to know me a little better. So today I'm going to be telling you my whole life story so you can understand why I came out the way I did. So I was born about 21 years ago to Spanish immigrant parents. They came here in the 90s, like early 90s, like 92, 93, something like that. So they'd been here in the country for roughly 10 years before they had me. So about my upbringing, unfortunately, I was never breastfed. My mom has confirmed this to me on numerous occasions. I was never breastfed. I was fed formula, 100% soy formula. If you look at any kind of baby formula, all of it is soy formula unless you buy like the Gucci formula, which is like specifically no soy, no none of that. But it still has a high amount of vegetable oil. I don't know if you guys know this, but by law in America, all baby formula needs to have an extremely high omega-6 content, so you have to add vegetable oil to reach that omega-6 content because you can't get that omega-6 content with animal fat. So it's kind of over for me in that perspective. And you know, I received all the routine injections. So my parents were never health people. They were never conscious of anything like that. I was raised as a complete and utter normie. So you know, I remember my very first fucking memory, and listen, so many people accuse me of being like egotistical and cocky. Listen, I've like always known my whole life I was special. I've always fucking known it. Because listen, my very first memory of being alive, I remember my very first memory. So I was around 5 years old, and I was still sleeping in my mom's bed. So my mom had this huge like king size bed, and I would sleep next to her in it when I was around 5. And I vividly remember I woke up like this, and the sun was out. I don't know exactly what time it is, but if I had to guess, it was around 1 p.m. Like I woke up and the sun was out. It wasn't morning, the sun was out. I woke up out of my mom's bed and I was like, I'm fucking alive. I'm fucking alive. Holy shit. Like, holy fuck, I'm alive. Like, I got this, like, intense feeling of, like, oh my god, I'm alive. Like, holy fuck, I'm alive. And I remember I went up to my mom and I was, like, telling her, I was like, yo, I just, like realized I'm alive. Like, and she was like, I don't remember, to be honest, what the conversation with my mom was, but I vividly remember I woke up and I was shocked. I was like, holy shit, I'm alive. Like, holy fuck. Like I had my first like I like gained fucking consciousness, and I was around 5 years old, give or take. Because you know what I remember? I remember I was so small at the time. Getting off my mom's bed was like kind of dangerous. I remember to get off my mom's bed, I had to like imagine you as a grown man. You're sitting on top of a fence. What you have to do to get down off that fence. That's what it was like getting off that bed, because it was like a humongous like queen or king size bed, whatever size it is. But anyways, I vividly remember I woke up, I had those like intense feelings. I got out of the bed and I went up to my mom and I started talking to her because I was like shocked. I was like, holy fuck, I'm alive. Like, listen, 90% of normies have never even thought about why they're here, bro. They've never even had a thought like, holy shit, like I'm literally alive. Like, I hope you guys understand that being alive is literally the most crazy shit ever. And I hope you understand that if you're watching this, you are special because, listen, there's like quintillions of creatures on this planet, and you just happen to be born as a human being, and you found me, this crazy guy who knows all this shit about health and all this other shit that I can't talk about on YouTube. We're all chosen. We're all chosen. Unless you're a hater. If you're a hater, you're chosen to be on the wrong side of history, bro. Let me tell you that much. But anyways, so that was my first memory, and that was a pretty profound thing. Now, I have a couple other memories. I remember like bits and pieces, and I just have to say, I went through some trauma as a child. So from ages about 5 to 10, everything is really blurry, but I just have to say, I have trauma. Like, some serious shit happened to me at that age. I didn't get raped, but there was some fuck shit going on when I was a child, okay? I've never been raped. If I was raped, that's blurred out, but I think you guys know what I was trying to say. Anyways, I have a lot of trauma from that age. A lot of fucked up shit happened. And then when I was around 7 years old, my father went to prison. My father went to prison for selling drugs. and he didn't come back for 4 years. So from ages 7 or 8, listen, I don't remember exactly how old I was when he went to prison, but I was around 7 or 8. Because the reason I remember this is because I have no memory of my father at all up until like age 11 or 12 when he came back from prison. Like, I genuinely don't have any memories of my father before then. So he went to prison around 7, when I was like 7 years old. Actually, I do have memories of him. I have memories of seeing my father in prison. That's the only memory I have of him before the prison thing. So around age 7 or 8, my father went to prison for selling drugs, and I have a few memories of going to prison and talking through him through the glass, where you like, you get the phone and you fucking talk to each other. So I got some memories of that. And then when I was like 11 or 12, it was like 5th grade. I remember like near the end of 5th grade, my dad came home from prison. And then I had my father in my life in middle school, but not in elementary. Like elementary, I vividly remember I had no father. I remember talking to other kids about it, and like they all had dads and shit. And I didn't have a fucking father. I don't know what that was like. So let me back up a little bit. So now that I've set the stage, I was a fatherless child in elementary. And elementary was tough for me because I always stood out, and I was never like the other kids. I always had problems and shit. So to be honest, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st grade, I don't remember shit. 4th and 5th grade is when shit starting to get real. So 4th grade, I started to become a complete fucking troublemaker. I remember I used to like run out of class and shit, and I would throw temper tantrums and shit like that. And it wasn't like I would get mad about like stupid shit. It was like I didn't want to be here. I don't want to be at school. I don't want to do this bullshit. Like they were trying to make me do fucking like algebra and shit in like 4th grade. I was like, fuck this. I don't want to do this bullshit. I want to go home to my fucking iPad. And yeah, listen, I was an iPad kid. I was a motherfucking iPad kid, dude. I love that fucking iPad. So, as early as I can remember being fucking alive, I was always addicted to the fucking iPad and like shitty video games and shit like that. So 4th grade, I think a big reason I didn't want to be at school was because I wanted to be home playing fucking video games. Now, I remember it wasn't until 5th grade that I got like a home PC, a home computer. But in 4th grade, I definitely had an iPad, and my mom would let me play on her phone and shit. Like, listen, my mom was a horrible parent. I ain't even gonna lie. But at the same time, I can't blame her too much because my father was in fucking prison, and she didn't have anybody else to support her financially, so she just worked like crazy. And I vividly remember my mom would like buy me McDonald's and shit. And my mom, like, fast forward like 15 years later, she told me that like we were so poor at the time, she'd buy me McDonald's. I'd take like 2 bites of it, and then I wouldn't want to eat it anymore. So my mom would eat what was left because that was fucking expensive as shit. Listen, so many things could have been avoided if my mom knew about the diet and shit, but oh no, I was fucking living off the McDonald's, the fucking expensive ass. Well, back then it was like not super expensive. McDonald's was actually like an affordable fucking food you can eat back in the day. But at the same time though, it's always going to be cheaper to make food at your house. Like, it's not fucking rocket science to think the fact that McDonald's, you're paying any fast food, you're paying extra money because you have to pay for the fucking service. You're not paying for the ingredients alone. You're paying for the fucking service. These people cook it for you and fucking, you get the fucking point. But anyways, I remember I was always a skinny kid. That's something else I should mention. I was a fucking skinny kid my whole life. I was always super fucking thin. I never had a fat phase in my life. A lot of kids will be fat when they're young, and then when they become teenagers, they get thin. No, I was always fucking skinny as hell. Like, always. I never had a chubby phase. Like, even as a toddler and shit, like, my parents told me that they were concerned about my weight at some point, because I remember she told me when I was like 2 years old, I only weighed like 12 pounds or 13 pounds or some shit like that. Something like concerning like that. But anyways, it was, by the way, let me just mention, that was because of the baby formula. The reason I've always been thin like this is because of the baby formula. Breastfed children grow up big and fat, and that's a good thing. if you don't know, being a little fat is good for you. Being fat has always been a sign of beauty. It's always been a sign of power. It's always been a sign of health, because there's nothing wrong with being a little fat. Now, of course, you don't want to be fucking 400 pounds, but a 6 foot guy, you should be well over 200 pounds. You should be like 220 pounds, dude. You need to have body fat on you, because think about it. In a natural perspective, why the fuck would you ever be skinny? If the winter comes and there's no food, you're cooked. You're going to starve to death. So you got to have body fat on you. It's important. But yeah, no, as a kid, I was always paper thin. Now, 4th grade, I remember I used to get in a lot of trouble. And I just quite can't remember a lot of the specific things I would get in trouble for. But I vividly remember that they gave me some after school program or some shit like that. Like an hour after school ended, I would have to sit with a teacher, and they would have to like basically teach me how to fucking behave, pretty much. Like I had like behavioral therapy and shit. And also, this is probably a good time to mention, sometime in 4th or 5th grade, I had that incident I spoke about in my psych ward video where I got sent to a psych ward. I explained that story in my psych ward video, so if you want to hear about why I went to the psych ward when I was like fucking 9 or 10 years old or some shit like that, go watch the psych ward video. I explained it there. But I'm telling you, I was a troublemaker. I was always getting in trouble. But it was valid. It was because I didn't want to be in this fucking shitty ass school. I don't want to be part of these fucking people, man. Now, I really don't have too many like traumatizing experiences in school. Like, I know a lot of kids, like, their friend like showed them porn or some shit like that on the school computer, like Minecraft porn or some shit, and it like fucking messed up their head. I don't really got anything like that. I do remember some kid showed me a meat spin, if you know what that is. It's a video like 2 dudes having gay sex over that one song. It's like, you spin me right around, baby, right around. But that didn't really like fucking like affect me that much. I was like, oh, this dude just showed me gay porn, whatever. And now fast forward to 5th grade. 5th grade, I have more memorable memories because there I made a couple like long life friends. One of them is this guy who like, I have this friend, longtime childhood best friend, who has autism, and he is on the autism spectrum. The guy is like very socially inept, but he's not mentally retarded. Like he's extremely intelligent. He has photographic memory. Like I could ask this guy things that happened in 5th grade and 4th grade that I have no memory of. But I'm still friends with that guy, but like I talk to that guy as if he's like my younger brother. Like I only talk to him like, oh, you want to play some video games or something like that. You know, I talk to him like he's like my 10-year-old little brother, and he's not mentally 10 years old. Like the guy, bro, he likes The Sopranos and Breaking Bad and shit. But he's extremely socially inept, and he has these like tics and shit. You know, when you're talking, you'll be talking to him, and he just starts going like. He like starts smacking his leg and shit like that, and he can't control himself. Like there's nothing he can do about it, and he's very aware of the fact he has autism. But the reason I mention this is because of him. I'm very good with autistic people, and I know how to spot autism. And I'm so like aware of who's neurodivergent and shit like that. Like a lot of people throw the autism card out there. You don't know what autism is like until you've had a fucking childhood autistic best friend. Now, another vivid thing I remember from 5th grade, they put me in some kind of program that I volunteered for, where you go to like special needs classes, and you like help out the special needs kids, like you teach them and shit like that. And I remember dude, so there were some like really mentally disabled children in those classes. Like I'm talking like they're nonverbal. All they go they don't even talk. You know what I mean? Like kids that are like, they're like 3-year-olds, and they're like 3-year-olds in a 10-year-old's body. You know what I mean? And I remember that just like that gave me a good feeling helping those people and talking to them and shit like that. Talking to them like they're human, because I always just kind of feel like people would look at like the retarded kids and just be like, what the fuck is that? But I kind of like related to them a little bit. I was like, fuck, man, like you guys just do whatever the fuck you want. It's kind of awesome, man. So I have a lot of experience with mentally disabled people, and it's kind of given me a sixth sense, and I can like identify people who are neurodivergent and people who have certain different problems, because You know, they say autism is a spectrum. It's very much true. You know, like some people just have like a really mild thing. Like, for example, there's certain people that are like pretty normal, pretty neurotypical, but they have like extreme aversion to things. Like they refuse to try new things, and like that's like like a very minor symptom of autism. And a lot of people will just see you as like an ignorant asshole, like this ignorant bastard doesn't want to try anything new. But no, you have something wrong in your head that's causing you to fucking be completely averse to new things, you know? So that's the point I'm trying to get across. So anyways, I do want to mention that I never really was a social kid outside of school. In school, I was like a class clown and troublemaker, and everybody knew who I was and shit. But I never went to like anything outside of school, bro. Like I never really had like, because you know why? Because I had a fucking helicopter mom. I had a motherfucking helicopter mom. My mom refused to let me do anything. My mom wouldn't let me play outside. My mom wouldn't let me go to friends' houses. My mom wouldn't let me do none of that shit. She was a helicopter mom because, I don't know, she was paranoid about something, bro. You know what I'm telling you right now, not having a father in my life fucked me up, because my father should have been there to tell this motherfucker, be like, my son is gonna go outside and do dangerous things. But no, my dad just had to fucking go to prison. So because of that, I came out extremely socially retarded. Like in 4th and 5th grade, even though I was a class clown, I just didn't know how to socialize with people. Like I would just act out and shit, and it would go along with me. Like if I actually wanted to socialize with someone, it just wouldn't work. You know what I mean? Like it's an interesting phenomenon to be the class clown and at the same time be completely socially inept. But that's what ended up happening to me. And I remember I actually had a girlfriend in 5th grade. I managed to get me a little baddie when I was in 5th grade. And I remember the relationship lasted for exactly 3 days. And funny story, the girl that I dated is now a transgender and goes by a man and took hormones and shit, and she has a like a beard now because of all the hormones she took. So that's kind of fucked up. But anyways, let's go to middle school. So I kind of set the stage. Let me just refresh your memory a little bit. I'm socially inept, but I'm a class clown, and I'm also addicted to the iPad and video games. Now, it is worth mentioning, in 5th grade, I got a computer, and I became addicted to video games, like straight addicted. Minecraft was my shit, I remember. I really liked Minecraft. Also, Roblox. I liked hella Roblox. My Roblox account was made in 2013. I played hella Roblox, bro. I fucked with Roblox hard. So, 6th grade, I really don't have too many notable memories from 6th grade, other than the fact that I could not speak to women whatsoever in 6th grade. I'm telling you right now, if a woman talked to me, I would start shaking and I would start getting fucking nervous. And this actually took me years to get over. So I vividly remember that there was this really fucking hot girl in my 6th grade law class. I took a law elective in 6th grade, and there was this really hot girl, but for some reason, I didn't have a crush on her. Y'all know, like, I don't know if y'all ever had this, but I vividly remember from elementary to high school, I always had an active crush, which was like a girl that I was like fucking like thirsty over. Like I would see her and I'd just be like, holy fuck, that's the most beautiful fucking woman I've ever seen in my life, you know? And I'd start, even like her entering the room would make me fucking like, my heart would start beating and I get so fucking nervous, right? But then there were other girls where I was like, yo, she's a fucking baddie, but I don't got a crush on her. But anyways, this girl in 6th grade, I didn't have a crush on her, but I thought she was a baddie, right? And I could not talk to this girl whatsoever, even though, like, we actually became friends. I don't remember exactly how, but we became friends extremely early on in the class, and she tried to talk to me, and then I'd just be like, and she, like, thought it was funny. Like, she was, like, into, like, me being, like, socially inept or something. I don't know what was going on back then. But that was my first like sign that like something ain't right, because there's no reason a 10-year-old boy, 11 years old, however how old I was in 6th grade, there's no reason being near a female human being of your age should make you feel like you're about to fucking, it makes you feel like you're on the D-Day landings, you know, going up fucking Normandy Beach, you know what I mean? There's no reason I should be feeling that way. And you know what I think that is? I think some of that is because I was an only child. I think now's a good time to mention that I'm the survivor of fucking 3 abortions. I'm the only survivor. I'm the only one that made it out. That's another reason I tell y'all I feel like I'm fucking chosen, like I'm gifted. Because I'm the fucking sole survivor of 3 abortions my mom had. Lord knows how many she fucking had more, and she's ashamed to tell me she has, but I survived, you know. I'm the only child. I'm the fucking survivor. And let me tell you, if you grow up without a sister, it makes you a little bit socially inept. Because think about this. Female, you wouldn't even know what female genitalia looks like if you never had a sister. And listen, I know that sounds fucking creepy as hell, but children are supposed to bathe together and shit. Children, like sisters, like your siblings and shit. Not random fucking children. I mean siblings. Siblings are supposed to bathe together and see each other naked. And it's not going to be sexual because children don't have sexual thoughts, bro. Like innately, unless some porn or something like uploads it to their brain, children aren't going to have sexual thoughts. So you are supposed to understand female anatomy at that age. The only way if you're an only child, the only way our generation sees that shit is through porn. And listen, in 6th grade, I had already seen porn. So I was, you know, brain rotted by that shit. So the female anatomy was like this fucking like foreign thing to me. So I kind of blame my social ineptness with women on not having a sister, to be honest. I think if I had a sister, shit would have just been different. Like I couldn't even talk to fucking ugly girls. Like ugly girls would try to talk to me and I couldn't talk to them. I get nervous as fuck. That's not normal. So I want to move to 7th grade because 7th grade was my first fucking like red pilling moment of my life. Like real red pilly moment, to be honest. And listen, I'm leaving out a lot of details. Maybe I could talk about this stuff on stream because, you know, I'd be here for like 3 hours if I told you everything that happened in my life. But anyways, 7th grade, I vividly remember that Lil Peep died, bruh. Lil Peep, that's so embarrassing to say, but Lil Peep died. And I actually knew about him before he died because I had a friend who I'm no longer friends with, who was into all this kind of underground music, and he knew about like XXXTentacion, for example. He showed me the song Rip Roach when I was in 6th grade, which must have been like 2016. To be completely honest, I more so remember these life events by school grade instead of actual years. Like I remember my 6th grade and 7th grade and 8th grade, not quite like 2018, 2019, because remember school years branch like 2 years. You know, school starts in like August and ends in May of the next year, so it's all kind of jumbled up and fucked up because of the school years and shit. But anyways, this kid, he showed me Lil Peep and stuff, and I didn't really fuck with it until Lil Peep died, because then I was like, holy fuck, like this guy just fucking died, like this fucking guy, like I heard him before he's dead. Like it really like put a sense of like, holy fuck, I'm actually like a mortal being. Like people can die and shit. Like this fucking guy just died. Like, cause listen, I never really experienced death before that. Like I never even like had a grandparent or anybody like that died, you know? Like I never even like really thought about the fact you could die too much like that. So I started listening to Lil Peep, and I'm not gonna lie, Lil Peep like severely worsened my mental state. In 7th grade, that's when I first had depression and like severe anxiety and shit like that. Like I vividly remember in 7th grade, I wanted to no longer be on this planet, and I think Lil Peep, I'm not even gonna lie, severely accelerated that, because I was listening to this guy's music, and you know how depressing his music can sound. Like have you ever heard Star Shopping? That song, if you listen to Star Shopping in a bad mental state, you might not wake up tomorrow, bro. I'm telling you right now, it's fucked up. So Lil Peep also did a lot of drugs, and it made me want to do drugs, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, this guy's depressed and I'm depressed too, and he does drugs, and apparently it seems to alleviate him. So I was like, I want to do drugs. I want to try drugs. That sounds fucking awesome, right? So I was fucking 12 years old in 7th grade. I don't know how to get drugs. I don't have money. So I don't know exactly how I came up with this, but I got NyQuil, and I like convinced myself that NyQuil was lean, because a really popular drug at the time was lean. I bet you guys remember lean used to be so popular back then. What lean actually is codeine and promethazine syrup, cough syrup, and it's prescription only. It's incredibly difficult to get. It's essentially extinct nowadays, but even back then it was extremely difficult to get. So no chance I can get that on my hands. But either I convinced myself or I foolishly thought that NyQuil was lean. I don't quite remember, to be honest. So I started telling all my friends, I was like, I got lean. I'm getting high on the lean. I got lean. I'm going to bring it to school and we can all drink lean and get high. So you know what I fucking did? I asked my parents for like $10. I walked to my local Walmart. Dude, looking back, this must have been like so weird for the Walmart workers, like this 12-year-old boy. I came in, I bought a Sprite and Jolly Ranchers because that's what all the rappers talk about. Like you put a Jolly Rancher in the Sprite and then you mix it with the codeine syrup. So I bought a Sprite and a Jolly Ranchers bag and I brought it home. And I remember my parents were instantly weirded. Oh, I also bought styrofoam cups because I wanted to like take a picture with the styrofoam cups and look all cool and shit. But anyways, I remember my parents were like, what the fuck? Like, you don't drink Sprite and you don't eat Jolly Ranchers. Why the fuck did you buy this? And I was like, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The NyQuil, I don't remember where I got it, to be completely honest. I probably just took it from my parents' medicine drawer in the fridge. I'm not even going to lie. I really don't remember where the fuck I got the NyQuil. I'm not even going to lie. So I brought it to school. And we poured up that NyQuil in 7th grade lunch. We poured up that NyQuil, me and a homie that I'm going to call Kevin. Kevin was my best friend for a long time, bro. For a long time until he betrayed me. But anyways, this guy Kevin, he was like this fat Hispanic guy. I think he was Puerto Rican. And he had darker skin and very long curly hair. He had like hair to his shoulders. And he was a guy that made me grow up my hair. I always had long hair. I've always had long hair. My hair is only short right now because I went through a winter arc last year, bro. I went through that winter arc and I shaved my head bald. You know what I mean? It's how it is. But anyways, this guy Kevin, we poured up, we drank it, and the placebo effect hit us, bro. The placebo effect hit us. We both thought we were high. We both were like, oh, we're high on the lean. And this other friend, I'm going to call him Jose. This other guy, Jose, did not like what we were up to. And he fucking snitched on us, bro. He snitched on us. But you know what? I saw him snitching. I've always been ahead of the curve, bro. Listen, I had my spidey senses were tingling. I was like, this motherfucking guy is gonna snitch on me. I kind of felt it because he didn't want to drink the lean. He didn't want to drink the fucking NyQuil, Sprite, demonic fucking goy slop, fucking goy syrup concoction I created, right? He didn't want to fuck with it. So I was like, something ain't right. And I remember in the lunchroom, I was like looking around, you know, I was like, where, you know what I mean? I saw this motherfucker talking to like, so there's the principal and then like the principal's henchmen. You know what I mean? You know how school had, like the principal has her like henchmen, like those important people that like guard her and shit. I saw the Jose kid talking to one of the principal's henchmen and I was like, he's snitching on me. So you know what I did? I fucking, like 300 IQ, I fucking threw the NyQuil out in a trash bag and one of like the underpaid, probably illegal fucking Mexican cafeteria ladies didn't notice. And long story short, 20 minutes pass, lunch breaks, I go to my class. The henchman, the same guy I saw Jose snitching to, comes into my class and he's like, hey Leo, can you come with us? And I was like, I outsmarted these motherfuckers. They don't know a fucking thing. They're not gonna know a thing because I dumped the fucking evidence. So they take me to the counselor's office and shit, and they're like, so what's this about lean? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Long story short, they search my phone, and I explained this in my psych ward video. They gave me an ultimatum: either we search your phone or you gotta go. If you want more context on that, watch my psych ward video. But anyways, they ended up sending me to the psych ward over this incident pretty much because they found some shit on the phone they weren't happy with. And that was completely fucking red pilling. I was like, all these people around me are fucking retarded. They're all a bunch of fucking liars and traitors. Like, how could you fucking do this to me? Like, I was this guy's friend, this Jose guy. I was this fucking good friend for like a good 2 years. Like, I met him in 6th grade. And more like a year and some change. But still, I was this guy's friend for a while. And we used to, like, we both liked anime. We used to, like, love talking about anime. And he threw our friendship in the toilet over this. To snitch on me for what? If you were worried I was doing lean, why wouldn't you talk to me like, hey, Leo, you need to, like, not fucking do this. You're 12 years old, bro. This ain't right. But, that's not how things went. So that was my red pilling moment in 7th grade. Now let's move on to 8th grade. 8th grade is where I actually started to become who I am today. 8th grade is where I started like forming my prefrontal cortex or something. So the start of 8th grade was very shocking for me because I had a crazy fucking growth spurt from 7th to 8th grade. 7th grade, I was like 5'2", 5'3". The start of 8th grade, I was like 5'10" or 5'11". I was immediately one of the tallest kids in the entire school. And that completely changed the dynamic of things because I was no longer like the beta male nerdy kid. I was still like a skinny ass nerdy kid, but now like I was bigger than almost everybody. Like I was still thin as a fucking stick, but now people got to look up to me. Instead of me looking up to people, they fucking look up to me. You know what I mean? They look up to me like I'm a fucking king. So that was an interesting experience for me. And 8th grade, really, there's nothing too important I want to talk to other than the fact that I got introduced to drugs and I had my first like super strong crush that I ended up dating. So there was this girl, I'm gonna call her Melanie. This girl was into Lil Peep, bro. Like the stars aligned. This girl, listen, I swear to God, the first time I like laid my eyes on this girl, this Melanie girl, I was like, that is the most beautiful woman I've ever fucking seen. And she had a Lil Peep jacket. It was "Come Over When You're Sober." It was that jacket that says "Come Over When You're Sober" on the back, and the front says Lil Peep in pink. And she used to wear that every single fucking day, and I was like, oh my God, this is the girl of my dreams. She listens to Lil Peep. She's a baddie. Yo, hilariously, dude, I saw a picture of what she looked like, and I was checking my phone for really old pictures, and I found a selfie me and her took in 8th grade, and I was like, there's no way I had a crush on this girl. Like, she was like the most fucking ugly lesbian looking girl I've ever seen. But at the time, bro, oh my God, I thought she was beautiful, dude. Like, I remember her, the way she'd smile and shit, dude, I thought she was so fucking beautiful. But anyways, long story short, she started smoking carts. Like, back then, yo, listen, the carts hit the fucking my school district like crack hit the black neighborhood in the 80s, bro. I'm telling you right now. So this was like deep into 8th grade though. I'm talking like March and like April. Me and her started talking, and she would smoke weed and shit like that, and we'd like FaceTime each other, and we'd talk for hours, and she'd be smoking and shit, and I'd be like, hey, that's not cool. And you know what, I actually kind of started hating drugs in 8th grade because she was doing drugs, and I was like, it would kind of distract her from me. Like, she, instead of talking, like, we'd be on FaceTime, and she's like, oh, I'll call you back later, I'm gonna go outside and smoke weed. And I'd be like, fuck, man, why don't you just talk to me instead? But anyways, this girl, me and her started socializing and actually like hitting it off with each other, and this actually like cured that mental block I told you guys about earlier where I just could not speak to women without shaking and shit. Let me tell you, the first time I ever spoke to this girl, I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack, and like every part of my body was like tensing up, and I had the craziest butterflies ever. But after I got out of that initial hurdle, it really like helped me socialize with women. And like after 8th grade, I was able to finally like talk to women without like being nervous. And when I say talk to women, I don't mean like flirting. I mean like if I had to ask for directions and there was a girl, I literally wouldn't because I was afraid to talk to girls. Mostly, honestly, like a big part of it is also I was like afraid of what they'd think of me, like they'd judge me and shit, you know what I mean? But anyways, with this girl, that was like super enlightening. So anyways, listen, fast forward a few months, high school starts. Me and her talk over the summer, but we can't hang out because I already told you I had a helicopter mom and she wouldn't let me leave the house or anything like that. Freshman year, she kicks up the drug usage to another level. Like, she's not only smoking carts, she's now like snorting Adderall and taking Xanax. And I was like, you know what, bro, I want to get into this. So one day, like, I'm talking, bro, like 2 weeks into the start of high school, dude. I vividly remember, like, it was so, like, new into high school. I didn't even know my way around the building yet. This was, like, the start of the school year. So me and her walked home together one day. And I should mention, we were basically neighbors. She lived really close to me. So we walked home together, and she was like, "So you wanna smoke some weed?" And I was like, "Why not? Let's try it. Let's try it." Listen, this day created the man who I am today was created that very day. So I went home to her house, and she made me take a blinker from her cart. And let me tell you right now, the shit she was smoking was gas, bro. She was smoking some good shit. This wasn't like the Reggie pack that a lot of you like high schoolers smoke, bro. I'm telling you, she had like dispensary grade fucking cart, bro. Also, I should mention, if you don't know what a cart is, it's THC oil. It's vape. It's basically like vaping, but for weed. It gets you fucking stoned as hell. So she made me take a blinker, which is where you hit the pen until it starts blinking, which is like it's max like hit. Like when it starts blinking, it's basically like you can't go no more. You're gonna make the battery explode. So I took a massive rip, dude, and I'm telling you, the minute I inhaled that shit into my lungs, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Like my lungs are gonna collapse and I'm gonna die. Like I've never felt anything like this before. And I started coughing and coughing, dude. And dear motherfucking Lord, dude, I got so fucking high. Like after I took that rip, reality just like dissipated. Like I wasn't in reality anymore whatsoever. Like I had the craziest fucking feelings. Like it's really a waste of time to try to describe to you what it felt. But I vividly remember time was significantly dilated. I remember I sat on her couch, and like it felt like hours had gone by, and I asked her, I'm like, how long has it been? And she's like, it's been 5 minutes. And I was like, 5 minutes? How long is 5 minutes? What is 5 minutes? Like I couldn't wrap my head around time. So anyways, I ended up teleporting home. I don't know how the fuck I got home because I was so fried. I don't remember anything. I got home. I instantly passed out. I woke up like 3 hours later and I was still high. I had come down enough that I could like, be aware of my surroundings, but I was still like, my vision was going all over the place and shit. And I remember I like texted her and I was like, oh my god, that was like the most fucking amazing thing I've ever done. Like, holy shit. And I was like, dude, drugs are fucking amazing. Like, I need more where that fucking came from. So I couldn't get, well, even though that was a really enlightening experience, I wasn't like immediately like, oh fuck, I want to buy weed, you know? Like I kind of just like, I didn't smoke weed again for another couple days until she let me hit her pen again, and then I had another like fucking life-changing experience, high out of my mind at 14 years old. But anyways, I remember sometime after that, I started smoking cigarettes, and hilariously, my mom got me into them. So my mom actually got me into cigarettes, but it wasn't my first experience with nicotine. I don't remember exactly when, but like very shortly after the first time I smoked weed, the same girl I'm talking about, this Melanie girl, she let me hit her vape. Like she also had a vape. We used to smoke Coovies, if you know what that is. And if you're from South Florida, you probably know what a Coovie is. It's from the company HQD. But she had those, and she was smoking those. And she gave me one, or she let me hit it. And I remember the first time I hit it, it made me throw up everywhere. I remember we were at a park, and I projectile vomited all over the floor, and I thought it was horrific. But it was still like a very like psychoactive experience. You know what I mean? Like it was like, holy shit, like that really like changes your state of being. Like that's kind of a wild thing. So I hit it like a few more times in like other days, and eventually I started to like it, but not really like, oh my god, I'm fiending for it. But I did get used to it, and I did start to like it. And listen, it's a canon experience that the first time you do nicotine, it makes you violently throw up. But anyways, after I got over that hurdle, my mom started smoking, and one day I went to the backyard and she was smoking, and she was like, do you want to smoke one? And I was like, sure, why not? And then I fucking smoked that bitch straight to the end. I smoked it faster than her, and she kind of looked at me. She was like, how the fuck do you even know how to smoke that? Like, what the fuck? And she kind of like picked up that I was up to no good, you know what I mean? But I feel like she kind of had this attitude that was like, you know what? It's better that I don't know what you're up to, bruh. It's just better that I don't know. So she didn't question me too much. But anyways, I started stealing my mom's cigarettes. So I remember what I would do is every single day after school, I would smoke one cigarette. And you know what's funny? I don't quite remember what my mom smoked at the time, but I remember she smoked lights because they were white. They were white cigarettes. She smoked white cigarettes. I honestly don't remember if they were menthol, if they were Camel Crushes, if they were Marlboro. I don't quite remember, but they were. It was white packaging, and the cigarettes were white. And I would smoke one every single day, and I did that for God knows how fucking long. I did that for like 6 or 7 months, and I guess she never picked up on it, dude. I guess cigarettes were cheaper back then and she didn't notice. I don't know. Cigarettes are fucking expensive now. I feel like if my son was smoking a cigarette out of my pack every day, I'd start noticing it by looking at my wallet. I'm like, where's all this fucking money going? But for God knows how long, dude, long ass time, I would smoke one cigarette after school. And I remember I used to enjoy watching a YouTube video. I have a very like vivid memory for some reason of this one day I came home. I lit up a cigarette and I was watching a Dr. Phil show. I don't remember what program it was, but it was Dr. Phil. I remember his like bald head. And I remember like smoking the shit and I was like, oh my God, that feels amazing. And then I remember my friends at the time were really concerned about this stuff. Like my friends were like, what's wrong with you? Like you're smoking weed now and you're smoking cigarettes and shit. Like you're gonna go down a fucking bad path. Like what the fuck is wrong with you? Because listen, this girl that introduced me to drugs, she was in with the wrong crowd already. All her friends were into drugs and shit like that. The friends I was friends with, like my childhood friends and shit, they weren't into that shit yet. Eventually they got into that shit, but it was like a lot of them got into drugs like after we fell out and shit. Like I was like a pioneer, man. I'm telling you, I'm always early, bro. I'm always a fucking pioneer in everything. I swear. Everything I do, bruh, becomes popular after a bit, man. I swear it happens, like, every fucking time. Now, it really took a second for me to really get into drugs like that, but as soon as I did, my life basically revolved around drugs. So, like I said, the first, like, 2 or 3 months after I tried weed, I would smoke it here and there, but it didn't get to a daily use. It was, like, 3 months afterwards where I bought my first cart. And I started smoking weed every single day and getting high out of my mind. And my parents started to notice. Now, listen, my dad was in my life at this time, but he was out of the house a lot because my dad would work from like 8 in the morning to like 10 p.m. because he was a construction worker. So he worked long hours. And when my dad did get home, he just, want to go to his room and, not talk to me much. So my dad, like, I barely saw my dad at this point in my life. And, I skipped over a lot of stuff earlier about my parents, like how they were fucking abusive and shit. Like my dad used to beat the shit out of me, but it's kind of irrelevant, to be honest. Like this is something I could talk about some other time. Maybe like a live stream or something. But moral of the story is I had nobody to tell me to stop doing drugs because my mom was really the only person in my life, and she didn't catch me right away. She didn't catch me doing drugs right away, but she started to notice something was up. Like she'd see me with red eyes and she'd be like, why are you sleeping all day and shit like that. And I also started to skip class a lot. So it was like August or so that I tried weed, and then like December or so, that's when I started getting really high. Because I remember Christmas break or winter break of my freshman year, I spent the entire break high out of my mind. I remember I was at home, I'd smoke the cart, and I'd play video games. I remember I used to play a lot of Team Fortress 2. I used to get really high and play Team Fortress 2, and I actually, like, I have like a lot of nostalgia. When I get the smell of weed, specifically the certain strain, Pineapple Express, it like brings me back to my Team Fortress 2 days, because I used to smoke the fuck out of that shit and play Team Fortress 2. And I remember back in the day, a cart used to last me like 3 or 4 weeks. Bruh, at my peak weed addiction, a cart would last me 3 days, maybe 4 days if I'm lucky. I killed a cart in 2 days one time. That was shitty. But anyways, I started smoking weed daily, and I didn't stop until shortly before summer break came. Actually, COVID got in the way of this shit because COVID happened in my freshman year. It was like 2020, like March when they shut down school and stuff. But shortly before that, my mom actually caught me smoking weed. What happened was she caught me buying weed. And I told her, I was like, oh, look, I've been smoking weed. It's not that big of a deal. And then she like crashed out and she went all fucking crazy on me. And I didn't smoke weed for like a good like 3 months or so. I started smoking weed again, like right as soon as sophomore year started. And listen, sophomore year was when shit got hectic. Now, it is worth noting that during the summer, well, not really summer technically because COVID got in the way when school ended early, but like May, it was May actually. I remember exactly the day, May 20th of 2020. I tried LSD, and this was the first major drug I had tried other than weed. And it was the girl Melanie. She started doing LSD and she thought it was amazing and she recommended it to me. So she gave me her plug and I bought 2 hits of LSD. I paid $25 for 2 hits of LSD and they were gel tabs. And I tried one on May 20th of 2020 and holy fuck, like that shit completely like changed everything. It's not worth talking about because it's a waste of time really, and I want to make like a whole video about my drug experiences and get more into detail with them, but LSD like just blew me away and I wanted to try every drug on the planet after that. And then 4 days after, May 24th, I did LSD again. This time, I thought I was a big man, so I took 2 hits of acid. I bought more LSD. I bought like 3 hits because I was like, yo, I'm gonna do this like fucking every weekend. So I bought 3 more hits, and then I took 2 hits of LSD at the same time. If I had to guess, they were roughly 150 micrograms each. Anyone that tells you their LSD tab is more than 200 micrograms is uneducated or lying to you, because nobody's going to put more than like 150 micrograms of LSD in a hit of acid, because LSD is extraordinarily potent. All you need is 70 micrograms for a full experience. 100 micrograms, you definitely get a full experience. 150, like you really trip out. But anyways, these tabs I had were really fucking potent. Like the one hit of LSD I took for my first time was like a really potent experience, like way more potent than some other batches of LSD I had. So I had to guess it was probably around 150 micrograms. So I took 2 of them, and then I also smoked weed as the effects came on, and I had a fucking nightmare experience. I had a horrible fucking time. I thought I gave myself permanent schizophrenia. I had lost complete touch with reality. Like my mom, like I started like freaking the fuck out, and my mom was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And then I like walked out of my house. Listen, I'll tell this story some other time, but more of the story, I had a nightmare fucking experience, and ever since that day, I've never been the same, in a good way. I don't regret it whatsoever, but it completely like melted any kind of like attachment to this world I had. I don't know, it's so difficult to explain, but it just made me like see things for what they were. And, like, that's the best way to put it. It made me see things for what they were. So even though I had that horrible experience on LSD, I did it again like a week later, and then I did it again another week later. So I listen, even though I had a bad experience, I was so fascinated with what I experienced, it made me want to try like literally every drug on the world. So I ran out of LSD, and then I couldn't get more because my guy at the time, the person I bought it from, wasn't he stopped selling. He like moved on with his life and he started doing something else for money. So I couldn't get any more. So when sophomore year started, like August, so like a good like 2 months or so after my little LSD experiments, shit hit the fan. Because in sophomore year, I discovered some older kids who were actually into drugs, and like they knew all about psychedelics and shit like that. And they got me into some other stuff. Now, I still spoke to this Melanie girl, and I skipped over our relationship, to be honest, because it's not entirely important, but we did date for a while. Like, we dated over the entire summer of 2020, but we never like got further than like making out with each other, to be honest. But that got rid of my like whole social anxiety with girls and stuff. But I think that's, a topic for another day. But anyways, I started trying literally every drug under the sun in sophomore year. So let me give you like a list of every drug I remember I tried. So dextromethorphan DXM was like the first other notable drug other than LSD I tried, and I have a lot of experience with that, and like crazy fucking experiences and crazy memories with that drug. So DXM is like PCP. It's cough syrup, but it's not codeine. It's like a full-on dissociative hallucinogenic drug. It's very similar to PCP actually, which is another drug I tried. I tried that when I was 16. Very similar. But anyways, at age 15, sophomore year, I tried DXM, I tried mushrooms, I tried DMT. So I tried a bunch of stimulants. I tried Adderall, I tried Vyvanse, and then I did this other drug that I can't tell you how it's made, which is it's propylhexedrine, which is very similar to methamphetamine, and you got to make that at home with like a special OTC medication. And listen, a bunch of other drugs. It's honestly like low-key not even worth mentioning. But I was what you would call a poly addict at the time, which is where I would get my hands on whatever the fuck I could get, and I'd get high on that. Like, bro, things got like fucked up. Like there was a time where I didn't have enough money to buy weed, so I would literally look for empty carts on the floor and smoke them with like I'd hot wire them. I had like a little wire. You'd put the wire at the end of the cart and you smoke it, because I also didn't have money for a battery. That was like deeper into sophomore year, like 15 turning 16. But I did some crazy shit, man. I did some crazy shit. So at this point in my life, literally everything revolved around drugs, because it got me to like, it got rid of these feelings I had. And listen, I never knew that these feelings were caused by food and by this lack of a greater purpose and shit, because at the time I thought the world was shit, you know, and everything was hopeless. Like, now the primal diet gives you hope. The primal diet like gives you hope. Like, we can actually fix this predicament we've put ourselves in. This horrible fucking society we've built, we could fix this with the primal diet, with this lifestyle that I share. But at the time I didn't know this, obviously. Now, at 15, I also had my first romantic relationship. The first girl that I dated that I went, you know, all 9 yards with. So this girl, I'm going to call her Tiffany. Why not? Tiffany's a cute name. Me and Tiffany started dating at the beginning of sophomore year, like a few months into it, maybe like 2 or 3 months into sophomore year. She was 14, she was a freshman, and I was 15, I was a sophomore. And our entire relationship revolved around drugs, straight up. Like, every day we were getting high together and doing unspeakable things, and everything revolved around drugs for us. Like, that's all. Like, it was like, what are we gonna score? What are we gonna get our hands on and get high as fuck on tomorrow? You know, like, so this relationship lasted about 7 or 8 months. It ended horrifically, to be honest. It ended terribly. So it basically ended with us both having manic episodes on drugs, and my manic episode ended up getting me sent to the psych ward, and her manic episode also got her sent to a psych ward, but at a different time than me. And she honestly got like the lesser of it, because what essentially ended up happening to her is her parents became helicopter parents after they figured out that she's doing drugs and she's dating this crazy weirdo that does all these drugs and shit. But for me, it ended up costing me like my entire social reputation, because she started spreading stuff about me, and all my other friends were like, you're fucking deranged, and like they all cut me off and shit. And right around this time, they were also peddling the COVID stuff, like, you know, the injection and stuff. And I ended up getting kicked out of my school because of some things I said in a group chat. Kind of irrelevant, but I got kicked out. And they wanted to send me to a different like opportunity school, but in order to go to that opportunity school, they wanted me to present evidence that I had taken the injection. You know, the very popular injection that came out in like late 2020, early 21. They wanted me to take that, and I was like, not happening. So I straight up told my mom, I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna take that, bro. Like, I'm not going to school. And it's not like they can force me. Like, at the time I was old enough, like 15 some, you know, I was 15. You can't force me to take that, bro. I'm old enough, like I can fight back, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm 8 years old where I can't, but at the time I could. So I just straight up never went to school ever again. So I got kicked out, by the way, it was late sophomore year. It must have been around March or April, shortly before the school ended, and they kicked me out, and I just never went back to school. So at age 15, like turning 16, I literally just pretty much dropped out and never went back to school. And what did I do with my life in this time? So I became an extreme social outcast. I lost all my friends at the time, and I did nothing but just do drugs and do bad activities, bruh, that I can't speak about because statute of limitations hasn't expired yet, bruh. And I did that for like about a year. When I turned 16 the year after, few months later in August, I ended up discovering like meat-based diets, and I spoke about this in a different video, and I have my video like, oh, this about aajonus saving my life, where I go in depth about how I learned about the diet. But essentially, I had an internet friend at the time that told me about the carnivore diet and how he eats raw meat and stuff. And it immediately clicked for me. I was like, holy shit, that makes perfect fucking sense. Like, maybe this is what was been wrong with me my whole life. Maybe the fact that I've been eating goy slop is the reason why I'm fucking insane and I resort to drugs for happiness and to feel any kind of homeostasis, you know what I mean? And now I spoke about this more in depth in a different video, but right around this time, right after I turned 16 and shortly before I turned 16 as well, I started developing some serious fucking health issues. And it's a very strange phenomenon. It was shortly after I broke up with my ex, like around that March time frame or so of 2021, that shit just got so bad for me with my health. Like, I thought I had fucking cancer at some point, because every day I'd wake up and I'd throw up. I had nausea. I couldn't eat anything. I had tons of acne all over my face. Like, I was covered. I was like completely pimple faced out, and I had hypothyroidism, and I had a variety of different fucking problems with me, dude, a bunch of them. But I'm not gonna go too in depth with it today, but all of that contributed to why I was so down to try out like this new diet. So I started experimenting with the carnivore diet at first. I just ate only meat, and then I added fruit, and then eventually I discovered aajonus, and I started doing the aajonus diet. But the thing is, for the first like 6, 7, 8 months or so of trying out the primal diet, I was not clean from drugs. I was still doing drugs because I couldn't get it out of my head. I couldn't get out of my head that like I can live a happy life without doing drugs, because that's what I had told myself. You know, I was like, I have to do drugs my whole life, and that's how I get my happiness. Specifically weed. Like, weed was like, I needed weed every single day. Weed was like my breakfast, and then the other drugs would come after that. You know, like I'd do some ketamine or drink some alcohol or whatever other bullshit I was doing. You know what I mean? But yeah. When I was 16 years old, in a few months, that's when I discovered the primal diet, and I mean, the rest is history. You know, I can talk about the other stuff some other time, but that's the gist of it. I think that's pretty much everything I want to say today. You guys kind of understand, you know, my whole life story. I'm a victim of baby formula, victim of a lot of trauma, and yeah, that's why I'm fucking deranged. No, I'm not deranged, but you know. This is how I became such a individual outside of the norm, you know what I mean? But hey, that's gonna be it for today, y'all. I'm sorry for not being as active as I like to, but you know, sometimes this modern world is fucking hard, and there's a lot of bullshit you gotta deal with. So you know how it is, man. You know how it is. And listen, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys so much. I love the fucking support you guys leave. I know a lot of you motherfuckers are gonna watch this video straight to the end, and I appreciate that hella. Like, I really appreciate that you're interested in what I want to say. So listen, hey, I appreciate y'all. And good night or good morning, depending what time it is.